So we will discuss some incidents related to Sri Ramakrishna's birth, and of course we'll have some songs also. So I just want to, first of all, I want to begin with a meditation on Sri Ramakrishna, a beautiful Sanskrit verse which describes how we should meditate on the Master. So it begins with Hridaya Kamala Madhye, means in the lotus of your heart, Rajitam Nirvikalpam. Nirvikalpam means in which there is no change. So God is seated on the lotus of your heart. Sat Asat Akhila Bheda Atita. He is beyond all distinctions, like Sat, Asat, or true or false, everything. God is beyond everything. Sat Asat Akhila Bheda Atita Eka Sadasada Akhila Bheda Atita Eka Swarupam. Nirupamam Ati Sukshma. So you will just hear this. So it's a beautiful meditation on Sri Ramakrishna.
Brahmarupam Varenyam
So, this is how we should meditate on Sri Ramakrishna as one who is seated in our heart, who is beyond all changes. Prakriti, Vikriti, Shunya means, Vikriti means change. So, Shunya is devoid of. Is devoid of all the changes which are going on in Prakriti, in the world. Nityam, he is eternal. Anandamurti, he is full of bliss, he is bliss personified. Vimala, Vimala means Vigata Mala. Mala means impurity. Vigata means gone away. So Vimala means pure. Pure because all the impurities have gone away. Vimala Paramahansa Ramakrishna Bhajama. We meditate on that Ramakrishna. So, as we all know that the birth of incarnations is not like the birth of ordinary persons. Shri Krishna says that in the Gita, Shri Krishna says, one who understands my divine birth and divine activities, Janma Karma Chame Divyam. Divyam, it is divine, it is not ordinary. Ordinary people are born like us, they are born under the sway of their own karma. We are bound by our own karma. But God assumes a body not bound by anything, He assumes a body just because of compassion for living beings. And His activities also are divine because they are not guided by His egotism like ours are. They are fully controlled by a supreme power. So since he has no ego, the incarnation's body and mind fully manifest the divinity which is inside him. So we are aware of many divine happenings in Sri Ramakrishna's life. So today, since we are celebrating his birthday, we will just discuss a few happenings which are related to his birth. So, Shudiram, his father, in 1853, he had decided to go on a pilgrimage to Gaya. Gaya, where we offer our rites to our forefathers. That is called Pindadan. So he had gone there to perform rites for the redemption of his departed ancestors, Shudiram. And one night he fell asleep and he started dreaming. He saw himself as performing the necessary rites for his ancestors at the holy feet of Lord Gadadhar in the temple. Each deity in our temple, although it may be of the same form, he has a particular name. So the Vishnu in the Gadadhar temple, in the Vishnu in the Gaya temple is called Gadadhar. Like the Kali in the Dakshineshwar temple is called Bhavatarini. Bhava means the world. Tarini means one who helps us cross over. So we have got particular names. So he saw Lord Gadadhar in the temple and he also saw his ancestors in their luminous celestial forms joyfully accepting the offerings which he was giving and blessing him. So overwhelmed with devotion, Shudiram bowed down to his ancestors, touching their feet. But the next moment, he saw that the temple was filled with a divine effulgence. He saw his ancestors standing on both sides of the shrine in a reverential attitude with folded hands, praying to a luminous person. Praying to a luminous person. That luminous person was seated on a beautiful throne. He saw that the complexion of this effulgent one was as green as a blade of new grass, and that he was looking at Shudiram affectionately. Smiling, the effulgent being beckoned Shudiram to draw near. Shudiram walked towards him and prostrated before him with overwhelming devotion and began to praise him with various hymns. The effulgent one was pleased and spoke the following words to him in a sweet and melodious voice. He said, Udiram, I am very pleased with your sincere devotion. I shall incarnate myself as your son and accept the loving service you offer me in your cottage. So, there are very beautiful paintings regarding this. I will just, last time when we had discussed the life of Sri Ramakrishna, after that I got some new pictures. So I will just share them with you here. Regarding this dream of Shudiram, those who are online can see here, and for those who are here, I'll see. This is Shudiram dreaming and Lord Vishnu is appearing before him. Beautiful, beautiful picture. Yeah, and another one I'll show you. This you can see. Lord Vishnu appearing in a dream to Shudiram and blessing him. Yeah, this is by a very famous artist, Vishwaranjan. He absolutely brilliant. His depiction is, see the expression on Shudiram's face, full of humility and yeah. So this was the vision he received in Gaya, and from then Shudiram knew that a divine person was going to be born in his family. Not only Shudiram, but Sri Ramakrishna's mother Chandra Devi also had various divine visions. So one day she described to Shudiram the vision she had had when she was standing in front of the Yogi Shiva temple. That Shiva temple is just adjacent to Sri Ramakrishna's cottage, practically touching it. So we have already seen the photos when we discussed the life of the master. So that vision she described to her husband in this way. She said, one day I was standing in front of the Yogi Shiva temple and talking with Dhani Kamarini, the blacksmith woman. Suddenly I saw a divine light emanating from the image of Shiva. It filled the temple and rushed towards me like a wave. Overwhelmed, I was about to tell Dhani about it, but suddenly the light engulfed me and entered my body. Stupefied with fear and wonder, I fell unconscious. Later, when I regained consciousness with Dhani's help, I told her my experience. From then on, I have had the feeling that the light is still in my womb and that I am pregnant. Well, what do you think about it? Did I have the vision by God's grace? Even now, I feel that I am with a child. So again, I will share some beautiful photos, two paintings. See how beautifully is made that Sri Ramakrishna's mother is standing in front of the temple and a light is coming out. And another one I'll show you. This is even better. Yeah, this is by Vishwaranjan. How beautifully is depicted. So this was the vision which Sri Ramakrishna's mother had. So, as we know, it is widely believed now that God himself was born as Kshudiram's son, Sri Ramakrishna. That same God who appeared as Rama, Krishna, Jesus Christ, Buddha, etc., he had come to this world again. So, what do the rishis say about incarnations? This I quote from Swami Sardananda, his book on the Master, as you know, the most detailed biography. So he writes, the rishis of Vedic times realized that God, the cause of the universe, was their only guide in the spiritual world, and they became convinced that the infinite compassion of that Lord would not allow them to be eternally doomed. Rather, he would incarnate in every age, discover a new spiritual path suitable to human nature, and make God realization easier. What is the gist of the scriptures regarding the divine birth and activities of avatars who are endowed with illimitable virtues? These scriptures say that an avatar or an incarnation is by nature eternally pure, illumined, and free. Unlike an ordinary person, an incarnation is never entangled by his actions. From his very birth, the incarnation is self-contented, so he does not pursue worldly enjoyments as do ordinary jivas. The life of an avatar is solely dedicated to doing good for others. The only reason for their descending is compassion. Compassion towards living beings. So, we will just have a song now. As I have already sung this earlier, you know the meaning most probably. It beautifully describes the coming of the incarnation, that in the great ocean of Brahman, formless ocean of Brahman, a wave is raised. A wave is raised how? By a wind which is compassion. That wave means what? That wave means the formless ocean takes a form. So the formless ocean of Brahman takes the form of an incarnation. By the wave which is compassion for living beings. So now we will just do a detailed description. When we had discussed the life of Thakur, the birth we had just described in a very short way. But today we have time, so we can read a very detailed description of how actually Thakur was born. How he had, as soon as he was born, he had gone into an oven, and that he had, like Shiva, all the ashes and all. So we will discuss in detail. It's a beautiful description taken from, of course, Sardhanandaji's book. So this was the time, beautiful time in India. Here also, spring is beautiful everywhere. Here we get rid of the harsh winter, and there it is just before summer. That is the only difference. But spring is beautiful everywhere. So Sardhanandaji writes, spring, the king of seasons, had arrived after fall and winter. The weather was neither cold nor hot, and all of creation pulsated with a new life. It was the 6th day of the pleasant month of Falgun. Falgun is mid-February to mid-March. An upsurge of zeal, joy and love was visible among all the people. So one spring day, Chandra Devi, the mother of Sri Ramakrishna, was cooking food for Raghuvir. Raghuvir, family deity. Raghuvir is also another name of Sri Rama. She was nearing the end of her pregnancy, and although she was experiencing the celestial bliss in her heart, Physically, she was extremely exhausted. Suddenly, she realized that her physical condition was unpredictable. If the labor pains were to start right then there would be no one at home who could prepare the Lord's offerings. What could be done? Alarmed, Chandra expressed her concern to her husband Shudiram. Shudiram assured her, saying, "Don't fear. He who is in your womb would never enter our home at a time when the worship of Raghuveer would be disturbed. This is my firm conviction. Therefore, don't worry. Today you will certainly be able to manage the service of the Lord. And beginning tomorrow, I have already made arrangements. I have asked Dhani to begin sleeping here tonight." Dhani, the same Dhani who was with her when she had that divine vision. At this, Chandra felt new energy in her body and cheerfully continued her household duties. Everything happened as it had been predicted. The noon and evening food offerings of Raghuveer were performed without disturbance. After supper, Shudiram and Ramkumar slept in one room, and Dhani came and lay in another room with Chandra. Apart from the shrine of Raghuveer, the household consisted of 2 huts and a kitchen. In another small thatched shed, there was a husking machine on one side and a wood-burning stove for boiling rice on the other. Because there was no other place available, this shed was reserved as the delivery room. About 12 minutes before dawn, Chandra Devi felt the first labor pain. Dhani was of course there. She immediately escorted her to her shed, and as soon as Chandra Devi lay down, she gave birth to a male child. After providing Chandra with the necessary help, Dhani turned her attention to the baby. But he had disappeared from where she had put him. Alarmed, Dhani turned up the flame of the oil lamp and searched the hut. She found that the baby had slid over the floor and was lying in the wood-burning stove, besmeared with ashes. Nevertheless, the baby did not cry. Dhani then carefully lifted him up, washed him, and saw in the light of the lamp a wonderfully handsome child who looked as if he were 6 months old. In the meantime, a few of Chandra's friends, including Prasanna and some women of the Laha family, had been summoned. When they arrived, Dhani told them the good news. At the auspicious and solemn moment before sunrise, Shudiram's humble but holy cottage reverberated with the sound of conch shells, proclaiming to the world the advent of a great soul. Being well versed in the scriptures, Shudiram checked the astrological signs of the newborn child and found that he had come into the world at a very auspicious moment. Later, some distinguished astrologers studied the time of his birth and said to Shudiram that the child had been born during an auspicious arrangement of the planets. Astrological science decisively concludes such a person will be profoundly religious, highly respected, and will be always engaged in virtuous deeds. He will live in a temple surrounded by many disciples. He will establish a new religious order. He will be renowned all over the world as a great soul and will be worshipped by the people as a part of God Himself. Shudiram's mind was filled with wonder. He realized with gratitude that the divine dream he had experienced in Gaya had actually come true. Since he had received the vision in Gaya in the temple of Gadadhar, he decided to call his child Gadadhar. So this is the most detailed description of the master's birth that we have. So on this, there is a beautiful song. This is a new song which I have not sung here before. This describes the birth of the master, that this beautiful baby is born and the whole heaven as if has come to Kamarpukur, and all the neighbors are coming to see this divine child whose with his birth, from his birth itself, whose body is shining with a divine effulgence. And then this song says this is not an ordinary event. Has God himself come to Kamarpukur? Has he come to remove all our sorrow and suffering? So this is the beautiful song. দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ, কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। কামার পুকুরে ক্ষুদিরাম ঘরে ঠাকুর জনম নিয়েছে। This is how it starts. Yeah. দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ, কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ, কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। কামার পুকুরে ক্ষুদিরাম ঘরে ঠাকুর জনম নিয়েছে। দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ, কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। যত পুরবাসী এসেছে ছুটে, অপরূপ শিশু বলকে বটে। যত পুরবাসী এসেছে ছুটে, অপরূপ শিশু বলকে বটে। জনমের সাথে সারাটি অঙ্গে, জনমের সাথে সারাটি অঙ্গে বিভূতির রাশি মেখেছে। দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ, কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। দেব শিশু বুঝি এসেছে হেথা, এ তো নয় কোনো সাধারণ কথা। দেব শিশু বুঝি এসেছে হেথা, দুঃখ গ্লানি যত ঘুচাতে তবে কি, দুঃখ গ্লানি যত ঘুচাতে তবে কি, নারায়ণ নেমে এসেছে। ছোট ছেলে খেলে নাম যে গদাই, মন পড়ে রয় কোথায় সদাই। ছোট ছেলে খেলে নাম যে গদাই, মন পড়ে রয় কোথায় সদাই। কতই না সাধন করে দেখো মন, কতই না সাধন করে দেখো মন, শ্রীরাম কৃষ্ণ হয়েছে। দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। কামার পুকুরে ক্ষুদিরাম ঘরে ঠাকুর জন্ম নিয়েছে। দেখো রেছে সারাটি আকাশ কি আলোয় আজ ভরেছে। So this song has been written and set to tune by Chobi Rai. I have sung her songs before also. So now we'll have a little more of narration. So slowly Sri Ramakrishna entered into his childhood. He was called Gadai for short. His name was Gadadhar, but he was called Gadai, just a pet name which we give children. So day by day, the newborn child's influence increased. First, this influence worked on his parents, then slowly captivated the hearts of the village women. Every day during their leisure hours, the village women would visit Chandra. When asked the reason for their visits, they replied, "We love to see your son. That is why we come. What else can we do?" Women relatives in neighboring villages frequently visited Kshudiram's humble cottage for the same reason. Thus, the new child was raised with the loving care of all. The child's sweetness made him dear to all. Whenever the village women cooked any delicacies at home, they would think of feeding Gadadhar the first portion. His friends were extremely happy to share their food with him. The neighbors were so moved by his sweet talk, singing and behavior that they cheerfully put up with his childish pranks. When he grew a little older, Gadadhar became still more popular with the ladies of the village. One Rukmini Devi, who was only 4 years older than Gadadhar, later told some reminiscences of Gadadhar to the disciples of the master. Swami Ramakrishna and they had others, maybe they had gone to Kamarpukur later, much after Thakur had passed away. So Rukmini Devi had played with, she had got the company of the master, and she was then 60 years old. She was still alive. So she told her own reminiscences of the master. So how valuable they are. So she said to the disciples of the master, when Gadadhar would visit us, the ladies, in our inner apartment. In those days, ladies were kept in an inner apartment, separated. So not everybody was allowed to enter. But Gadadhar had such a sweet nature that he could find his way anywhere. So when he entered our inner apartment, Gadadhar would tell us many stories from the Puranas and entertain us with jokes. Almost every day we did our household work joyfully while listening to him. I can't express how happy we were when he was with us. If he did not come one day, we became worried thinking that he was not well. We had no peace until one of us would go to Chandra Devi on the pretext of bringing water or something and get news of Gadadhar from her. Every word of Gadadhar was like nectar to us. When he did not visit our house, we spent our time talking about him. So needless to say, Gadadhar was not only popular with the women folk, but his all-round creativity and affectionate ways also brought him close to everyone in the village. Every evening he visited the places where both old and young enjoyed readings from the Bhagavata and Kirtan singing. Joy overflowed wherever and whenever Gadadhar was present. No one else could read and expound the mysteries of religion with such passion. During devotional singing, no one had such ecstasy or such improvisational ability to supplement the lyrics with significant words. His sweet voice was unique, as was his delightful dancing. During celebrations, he surpassed everyone in performing comic characters and mimicking the various affectations of both men and women. No one else was as capable of entertaining people by inventing new stories and singing songs befitting an occasion. Both young and old were very fond of him and eagerly awaited him every evening. One of Kshudiram's acquaintances once said to him, "Friend, your son is not an ordinary child. He seems to be greatly endowed with divine qualities. Whenever you come here, please bring your son with you. Seeing him gives me real joy." So, when Sri Ramakrishna was there, Kamarpukur became a mart of joy. So let us go to Kamarpukur in our mind with the help of this song. This is written by one of our very senior Swamis. Of course, he is no more, Swami Chandikanandaji. So it says that, who is it who has come to Kamarpukur, seeing whom the hearts of everybody is filled with joy. So the night of misery is now over because the sun itself has come to Kshudiram's house. And see this divine child who is playing in the mango orchard of Manik Raja. She's playing with full on means she's wholeheartedly playing with his friends, And this beautiful Leela, this beautiful divine play he is enacting with the help of songs and conversation. So, in so many forms, we hear his divine voice, and this Abhiram Leela, this beautiful divine play, my eyes always is craving to behold this divine play of his. And then at the end, the poet prays to Sri Ramakrishna that Amareo now tomare khelai. Please also include us in your divine play. And Juge Juge Hari Tomare Lilai. Oh God, give me this boon that in every age I may offer my mind and body in your divine Leela, divine play. So this is a beautiful song. So we have just discussed in a very brief manner some divine incidents related to Sri Ramakrishna's life. So before we do arati and food offering, I will just share this the birth of Sri Ramakrishna, that a wonderful painting when that Dhani is searching for the boy and she finds him in the stove. It's a absolutely beautiful painting which I would like to share with you. This is by the same artist, that brilliant Vishwaranjan Chakravarti. See this? This is absolutely brilliant. I mean, such talent he had. And see the expression of Dhani's face when she's finding the child inside. So, this artist had kindly painted all the pictures in a book brought out by Advaita Ashrama on Sri Ramakrishna for children, that is Story of Ramakrishna. So I asked one person in Calcutta, he scanned the photo and sent it to me. This I liked so much, it's absolutely brilliant here.
He painted the temple.
Oh, he painted there also?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
a lot of paintings.
He's
Swamiji is talking and Sri Ramakrishna is standing.
yeah, there is nobody like him. He is something else.
We got a present from him. Avatarini place.
Wow.
It's in our shrine.
Oh, wow. So the singing has not ended yet, don't worry. We will offer, then we will again, when you offer flowers, we will have some songs. I have kept the scripts here. So one is in Devanagari only, that is a Sanskrit one, and other is one is in English also it is written. It is very simple. That we have done here earlier, but that was ages ago. So I think you have forgotten it by that time. So it will, chorus we will do. You can sing all of you together.
Guru Dev
ते नाम भवन्ति भक्ता दृष्ट्वा वयं त्वां न तु भक्तियुक्ता हे रामकृष्ण त्वयि भक्तिहीने कृपाकटाक्षं गुरुदेव नित्यं हे रामकृष्ण सत्यविभुं शान्तमनादिरूपं प्रसादये त्वाम् अजमन्तशून्यं हे रामकृष्ण त्वयि भक्तिहीने कृपाकटाक्षं गुरुदेव नित्यं हे रामकृष्ण जानामि तत्त्वं न हि ते स्वरूपं किमु भावजातं हे रामकृष्ण त्वयि भक्तिहीने कृपाकटाक्षं गुरुदेव नित्यं हे रामकृष्ण रामकृष्ण Sit down. So that Rama Swarupa has everybody taken that slip?
Yes.
Oh, I never had to for a long time. First time you gave, they were with me.
You know what another one?
When you came first, only.
Oh.
Oh, I see what I said.
Okay, okay.
Right? Oh, yeah, he sings very perfection.
Yes.
And devotion is there, of course.
Oh, yes.
Pious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is very simple. Rama Swarupa, Krishna Swarupa, those the one who was Rama, Krishna, that we bow down to that Ramakrishna. Sakala Swarupa, he is become everything. Shanta Swarupa, he is calm. Dina Rakshaka, he is protector of the humble. Dina Poshaka, he takes care of the humble people. Dina Vatsala, he is like a mother to the devoted people. And Bandhava, Bandhava means he is the friend of all. Patita Pavana means those who are fallen, he raises them up, he purifies them. Pavana Charita, he is purity incarnate. Karuna Sagara, he is the ocean of mercy. Jana Sukha Karaka, he gives pleasure to everybody. Jana Jana Pujita, he is worshipped by one and all. Jana Jana Sevita, he is worshipped, he is served by one and all. Nirguna Saguna, he is with form as well as form. Brahma Sanatana, he is the eternal Brahman. So, I will sing one line, you please repeat. And after that, after every stanza, Rama Swarupa, Krishna Swarupa, we can sing together. First we will sing at a low speed, you get an idea of the tune. Then we will sing at a faster speed. राम स्वरूप कृष्ण स्वरूप राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूप कृष्ण स्वरूप राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा दीन रक्षक दीन पोषक राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते दीन रक्षक दीन पोषक राम कृष्ण दीन वत्सल दीन बांधव परमहंसा नमोस्तुते दीन वत्सल दीन बांधव परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा पतित पावन पावन चरित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते पतित पावन पावन चरित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते करुणा सागर जन सुख कारक परमहंसा नमोस्तुते करुणा सागर जन सुख कारक परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते जन जन पूजित जन जन सेवित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते जन जन पूजित जन जन सेवित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते निर्गुण सगुण ब्रह्म सनातन परमहंसा नमोस्तुते निर्गुण सगुण ब्रह्म सनातन परमहंसा नमोस्तुते. So now you know, now we can sing at a faster speed together. Everybody together. राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते दीन रक्षक दीन पोषक राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते दीन वत्सल दीन बांधव परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते पतित पावन पावन चरित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते करुणा सागर जन सुख कारक परमहंसा नमोस्तुते राम स्वरूपा कृष्ण स्वरूपा राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते सकल स्वरूपा शांत स्वरूपा परमहंसा नमोस्तुते जन जन पूजित जन जन सेवित राम कृष्ण नमोस्तुते निर्गुण सगुण ब्रह्म सनातन परमहंसा नमोस्तुते
Swarupa, Krishna Swarupa, Ramakrishna Namostute, Sakala Swarupa, Shanta Swarupa, Paramahansa Namostute, Sakala Swarupa, Shanta Swarupa, Paramahansa Namostute, Sakala Swarupa, Shanta Swarupa, Paramahansa Namostute. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji Ki Jai. This concludes our program.